Alright, so right here we're looking at Silverbow Creek, which comes out of Butte, across the road, and this becomes Clark Fork River. So basically this is the first spot on the river where the sign says Clark Fork. Right before this, all the way to Butte, it will say Silverbow Creek. So it's kind of the mouth of the Clark Fork. Just beautiful. I mean, yeah, it's snowing out today, but it's nice and warm, not too cold. You can still see a little ways. Like I said, Clark Fork. Just meanders through. Down the road a little bit farther, it actually gets larger. So we'll go down there and show off that as well. I caught myself. A little bit slick. Might be fun getting back up. Couple ice shelves down here. Alright, so the Clark Fork, also known as the Clark Fork of the Columbia River, runs through two U.S. states, Idaho and Montana. It's about 310 miles long. It is the largest river by volume in Montana. It empties into Lake Pend Oriole in the Idaho Panhandle. Interestingly, the Pend Oriole River in Idaho, Washington, and British Columbia, Canada, is sometimes included as part of the Clark Fork River. That would give it a total length of 479 miles, or 771 kilometers, with a drainage area of 25,820 square miles, or 66,900 kilometers. In its upper 20 miles, or 32 kilometers in Montana near Butte, it is known as Silverbow Creek. That's what we're looking at now. This is where it turns from Silverbow Creek into the Clark Fork. Alright, so we made it back up without falling and hurting myself, which that's pretty extraordinary, because generally I find a way to do that every time. But we're going to head down the river a little bit and show you how things start to open up and talk a little bit more about it. So this Clark Fork that we're looking at today, it actually is part of one of the largest superfund sites in the U.S., continental U.S. It runs from Butte, Montana, all the way down to Bonner, Montana. And I believe they've redone most of the entirety of the upper Clark Fork River. Have a little bit of work going on now. That's what I'm told, is that they're doing some cleanup there. So, and the EPA stuff, Superfund, it all partially has to do with the Berkeley pit in Butte and all the mines that were going on there. So because the Berkeley pit, they shut the pumps off, filled up with water. That's all toxic acid water due to the copper. And holy moly, hold on a second. Here's a large herd of elk right here off the road. We're going to take a look at this. Check that out. A very large herd. There's a couple bulls in there. They're starting to get a little bit skittish. I'm not here to harm them, but as you can see, they're getting ready to make their move. A vehicle came. There's gotta be a hunt. Ooh, there's a nice bull right there. Let me see if I can zoom in on him.
Where?
Just tons of elk. There's another bull right over there.
Where?
It's pretty sweet.
I can't see.
Yeah, they're bull elk. Look at all these elk. They are everywhere out here. Yeah, go for it. Just a couple bulls in the group. Sorry, it's shaky. The car's running. I'm zoomed in. I'll try to fix that shake. Don't know if it'll work or not. If I can zoom in on a couple of these bigger bulls. That's not gonna work. Just stand here watching us. Elk after elk after elk. Right on. All right, so that was pretty neat. Anyways, where was I? So yeah, so it's all kind of part of that big old Superfund site or big toxic area because of the mines in Butte. So in 79, I believe it was, 1979, they had closed down the Kelly, and then a few years later, I think it was 1982 if I remember correctly, they made the decision to shut the pumps off that were pumping all the water out of the Kelly and Berkeley pit and stuff. So, and those pumps were located in the Kelly mine. So they shut those pumps off. That caused the water to just fill up at the Berkeley pit. Because it's nothing but copper mines below it, when that water comes into contact with copper, it produces like an acidic solution. So now the Berkeley pit is one of our country's largest water disasters, I guess. Water, I don't even know if you'd call it disaster, but a water polluted areas. So big toxic site. You can't put boats out there or nothing. If you get a chance, go check it out in Butte. They also, I'm sure there's a lot of information online about it as well. I think it's over 1,200 feet deep, a mile wide, and a mile and a half long, something like that. So one big old hole in the ground with toxic water sitting inside. So anyways, yeah, that all that water, you know, got into Silverbow Creek, and then Silverbow Creek turns into the Clark Fork River. The Clark Fork River goes all the way over into the Panhandle of Idaho. So along the Clark Fork River, they're saying all that toxic stuff from Butte went in the water as well. So that's why they've redone it all. Man, oh man, that looks like a pretty wicked storm. It's pretty dark. Roads are a sheet of ice right now. Alright, so here's another cool spot we can stop and see the Clark Fork. Saying, be a good fishing neighbor. Crowding is becoming a problem on this stretch of the Clark Fork. Please follow these guidelines to reduce conflicts and improve everyone's fishing experience. There are plenty of good fish distributed over several miles of the stream. It is not necessary to fish in a crowd. Remember that, guys. There's fishing out here so good, sometimes I've heard that there's fist fights between the fly fishermen. Catch and release. A trout is too valuable to enjoy only once. If fish are properly handled, they can be caught and released with minimum damage. Many people can have the thrill of catching the same fish. Injury to caught fish can be reduced by using these methods. Big one, probably the biggest one, is do not remove the fish from the water. Let's try to make it down this hill now without slipping and sliding my way down. The only way to come down that is to run. Might run into a moose out here. Seen them a few times. You can smell something. White-tailed deer inhabit this area, as do the occasional black bear. Beautiful. You can see that it's already gotten wider just from our last location down to here. So at this Clark Fork here, Interstate 90 actually follows much of its upper course from about Butte to St. Regis, Montana. If you're traveling on I-90 or Interstate 90, you can just look out your window and see it in most spots. The highest point with the river in this river watershed is Mount Evans. That sits at an elevation of 10,641 feet or 3,243 meters. Mount Evans is in Deer Lodge County, Montana, and it sits along the Continental Divide. The Clark Fork is a Class 1 river for recreational purposes. This Clark Fork should not be confused with the Clark's Fork of the Yellowstone River, which is in Montana and Wyoming, and it's also on the Atlantic side of the Great Divide. Beautiful. Don't want to step out on this ice. Don't know how thick it is. I mean, the water's not too deep, but I don't want to get my feet wet. There's just trails all over in here. I'm sure the deer and moose use them. So do the anglers. There's a few spots down here where the fishing's really good. I mean, the whole place is good fishing, but the river deepens up a little bit. And it's got some nice curves to them, so. And Interstate 90 is just right over there. There's a dam of some kind. Don't know if they're using it for electricity or if it's for the Warm Springs ponds, what quite they're using it for. Let's get over here and I'll show you guys what that looks like. Don't know how close we'll be able to get to because it's actually on the other side of the river. I might be able to find a spot where I can get a good view of it. You can hear the water just roaring from it. I'm out on the ice now. Oh, you can hear it. All right, so that dam sits right back in there. All right, let's go take a look at where they're doing the reclamation work at. Then we'll call it a day. It's getting a little bit chilly out. Check it out. There's even a Mount Evans road sign out here. So we talked about how Mount Evans is the tallest point on the Clark Fork River Basin by elevation, and there's a road sign for it. Alright, so we're getting to where we'll be able to see some of that reclamation work that they're doing. Just looking at the reclamation stuff. Alright, so this is the main headquarters of where they're doing that reclamation work. Sundays they're all off. These are the ones that are helping take care of the Clark Fork River.